My parents sided with my sister to steal my dream trip to Rome. So I left to live with my grandparents. I'm 20. I never imagined the betrayal would come from my own sister, the one person I had always tried to protect. My parents, too, played their part, leaving me in a position I never thought I'd be in, devastated, humiliated, and questioning everything I thought I knew about my family. My 18th birthday. The day everything changed. I can still see my grandparents' faces, glowing with pride as they handed me that envelope, my grandmother's perfume mixing with the scent of birthday cake as she squeezed my hand. "Open it, sweetheart," she urged, practically bouncing with excitement. Inside was a ticket to Rome, my dream destination since I was old enough to point at pictures in travel magazines. But it wasn't just the ticket. They'd included a check to cover all expenses, making sure I could experience everything the Eternal City had to offer. I can't believe this," I stammered, tears welling up. "Grandma, Grandpa, this is incredible." My grandfather pulled me into one of his signature bear hugs. "You've earned it, kiddo. Top of your class, already landed your first job. We couldn't be prouder." I rushed home that evening, bursting to share the news with my family. Looking back, I should have known better. My sister June's reaction was like a bucket of cold water. "Rome?" She barely looked up from her phone, her voice flat. "What's the big deal? It's just a city full of old buildings." I tried to brush it off. June was 16, going through that phase where everything was beneath her. But the next morning, my parents dropped the real bomb. "Honey," Mom said over breakfast, using that tone that always meant trouble was coming. "We need to discuss the Rome trip." I lowered my coffee mug slowly. "What about it?" "Well," she exchanged one of those loaded looks with Dad. "Don't you think June would appreciate it more? She's the artistic one, after all. She's actually studying art history." The coffee turned bitter in my mouth. "This is my birthday gift. From my grandparents. For me." "But June hasn't had the same opportunities as you," Dad chimed in, as if I'd somehow been hoarding all the family's good fortune. "You're already so successful. You can travel anytime." The pressure didn't let up. Every conversation somehow circled back to why I should give up my trip. June mastered the art of the guilt trip, dropping comments like little poison darts. "God, it's such a waste," she'd sigh dramatically at dinner. "All those masterpieces, and someone who doesn't even know Michelangelo from Leonardo gets to see them." Finally, worn down by the constant barrage, I broke. "Fine," I said one evening, my voice hollow. "Do whatever you want with the ticket." The speed with which they jumped into action was almost impressive. Within days, they'd arranged everything for June. But the real knife twist came weeks later when I discovered they'd lied to my grandparents, claiming I'd voluntarily given up the trip because I wasn't really interested. I confronted Mom in the kitchen, my hands shaking. "Why would you lie to them? Why couldn't you just let me have this one thing?" Her response hit like a slap. "You don't need it like she does. June's special. She's had such a hard time living in your shadow." When June returned from Rome, she made sure to maximize my pain. "Oh my God, the Sistine Chapel." She'd gush at family dinners, her eyes finding mine with calculated precision. "You would have totally wasted it, sis. It takes real artistic appreciation to understand such masterpieces." I reached my breaking point when I finally talked to my grandparents about the voluntary transfer of my trip. Their confusion said everything. "What do you mean, darling?" Grandma asked, her voice sharp with concern. "Your parents told us you suggested giving it to June yourself." That night, I packed my bags. My grandparents welcomed me without hesitation. "This is your home now," Grandpa declared, his voice brooking no argument. "We'll cover your college, everything. You just focus on healing and moving forward." The messages started flooding in immediately. June's texts were particularly venomous. "Way to go, drama queen. Running to Grandma and Grandpa like a little snitch. You've always been jealous that I'm more talented than you. Have fun being alone. You don't deserve my company anyway." My parents' messages were worse. "After everything we've done for you," Mom wrote, "this is how you repay us? By turning your grandparents against us? We always knew you were selfish, but this is a new low." Dad's contribution was particularly rich. We've wasted years trying to make you a better person. Clearly, we failed. Don't bother coming back. We're happy to be rid of you. The situation took an almost comedic turn when my parents showed up at my grandparents' house 2 weeks later, clutching a spreadsheet like it was evidence in a court case. We've calculated exactly what we've spent raising her, Dad announced, not even looking at me. Food, clothing, education, it comes to approximately $10,000. Since you're taking responsibility for her now, we expect to be reimbursed. My grandfather, ever the chess player, asked for a moment to consult with my grandmother. When they returned, his eyes had that dangerous twinkle I'd come to recognize. "We'll gladly pay the $10,000, he said pleasantly, shuffling some papers on his desk. "Right after you repay the $87,000 you've borrowed from us over the years. I have all the records right here." He tapped a thick folder. "Shall we review them together?" I had to bite my lip to keep from laughing at their expressions. Years of accumulated loans for house repairs, car payments, and June's special art classes suddenly came due in one delicious moment. "You can't be serious," Mom sputtered. "That's completely different."
Is it?
Grandpa raised an eyebrow.
Seems like basic accounting to me.
"Though I'm happy to get our lawyers involved if you prefer." They left in a hurry after that. Now, months later, I'm thriving in college while my family deals with the consequences of their choices. My parents are struggling with the $7,000 they still owe my grandparents. Their house is remortgaged at a brutal interest rate, thanks to their tanked credit score. June, working an entry-level job at an architecture firm, is stuck living at home and contributing to payments. Her dreams of graduate school are on hold indefinitely. My grandfather, who's developed quite a taste for what he calls karmic justice, loves reminding my father about the will. "Better hurry up with those payments, son," he'll say with a wink during chance encounters. "I'm not getting any younger, you know. Would be a shame if something happened before everything was settled." Sometimes, late at night in my dorm room, I wonder how things might have been different. If my parents had loved us equally. If June had celebrated my successes instead of resenting them. If they'd all just been the family I thought they were. But then I remember what my grandmother told me over tea one afternoon, her weathered hands wrapping around her favorite china cup. "You know, sweetheart, sometimes the family you're born with isn't the family you need. Sometimes the greatest gift life can give you is showing you who people really are, even when it hurts." Life is different now, but better. Instead of fighting for scraps of affection from parents who always preferred my sister, I'm fighting to maintain my spot on the dean's list. Instead of walking on eggshells around June's jealousy, I'm walking across campus to my next class, head held high. Yesterday, sitting on my grandparents' porch watching the sunset, Grandpa turned to me with that thoughtful look he gets sometimes. "You know what's funny?" He mused. "They tried so hard to take Rome away from you, but they ended up giving you something better." "What's that?" He smiled, reaching over to squeeze my hand. "Freedom. And that's worth more than any trip." He's right, of course. Sometimes losing what you thought you wanted leads you to what you actually needed. I might not have gotten my trip to Rome, but I got something far more valuable: the strength to stand up for myself, the wisdom to recognize toxic relationships, and the courage to walk away from them. About June? She recently tried to friend request me on Instagram through a new account, probably hoping to show off her fabulous life at the architecture firm. I smiled as I hit block. Rome can wait. For now, I'm exactly where I need to be, building a life on my own terms, surrounded by people who actually want to see me succeed. Last month brought another reminder of how far I've come. A cousin's wedding invitation arrived at my grandparents' house, addressed to the whole family. My mother called Grandma immediately. "Of course we'll all be there," I overheard Mom saying, her voice syrupy sweet. "It'll be so nice to have everyone together again. Maybe we can finally put all this unpleasantness behind us." Grandma's response was crystal clear. "If by unpleasantness you mean how you manipulated and emotionally abused your daughter? No, I don't think we'll be putting that behind us anytime soon." The wedding itself was interesting. June showed up in an inappropriately flashy dress, clearly trying to draw attention. She cornered me by the bathroom, wine glass in hand. "You know, you could come home if you just apologized," she slurred slightly. "Mom and Dad would forgive you." They're not unreasonable. I had to laugh. Apologize for what exactly? For not letting you steal my birthday gift? For exposing your lies? Or for finally standing up for myself? You're so dramatic, she rolled her eyes. It was just a trip. Get over it already. It wasn't just a trip, I replied calmly. It was about respect, honesty, and family loyalty, all things you and our parents seem to have forgotten about. She stormed off after that, but not before spilling her wine on her expensive dress. Karma has a sense of humor sometimes. The aftermath of the wedding was predictable. Mom tried to spread rumors about how I'd ruin the reception by being cold to my family. But our cousin, the bride, shut that down quickly. Actually, she posted publicly on Facebook, the only drama was June getting drunk and trying to start fights. That post got quite a few likes from family members who'd witnessed everything. It's funny how truth has a way of coming out. These days, I'm focused on my future. I've got an internship lined up for the summer at a prestigious firm, and my grades are strong enough that graduate school is looking like a real possibility. My grandparents beam with pride at every small achievement, showing what real family support looks like. Just yesterday, Grandma surprised me with a small gift, a beautiful journal with a picture of the Colosseum on the cover. For planning your future trip to Rome, she winked. When you're ready, on your own terms. I hugged her tight, grateful beyond words for having these amazing people in my corner. Life has taught me that while blood may be thicker than water, love and respect are thicker than both. So yes, Rome can wait. I'm building something far more valuable right now, a life founded on self-respect, surrounded by genuine love and support. And honestly, that's the greatest gift I could have asked for.